they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Amadaya production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's in.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Once in the chat if you all can hear me. Once in the chat if you all can hear me. Can you all hear me? What is going on? You all can hear me. Okay, I'm like, what is going on? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I have had so many technical difficulties, you all, they would not let me start this live. I have been trying to get on live for literally about 3 hours. I'm not even joking. Okay, they were not allowing me to get on this live. I don't know what was going on. All right, did y'all see all the different streams kept popping up because they kept saying something's wrong with my title? So I kept changing the title, and then it was generating more than one link. It was all crazy. Even this stream generated more than one link. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So anyway, this is going to be like hard for some people to find. Hey, Elder Barbara Rashawn Live says, so true, so true, my sister. I've been trying to get on the channel. Really? You've been having the same issues? See, this is all crazy. They try to keep some of us quiet. They try to keep some of us quiet, but we have to still push forward, okay? That's what we got to do. We got to push through. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Please like and share. They're trying to silence the poor little old queen, y'all. Don't let them do it, okay? So before we get into it, everyone please like and share. Also, double check to make sure you're still subscribed, especially if you have not been receiving the notifications. And now a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All All right. So don't forget, you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And she also sells beard oil. Okay. So shout out to Lisa Cabrera and 12 Tribes. All right. So before we get started, let me just show you all something. I saw this video. Hold on. Let me just delete this real quick. I just forgot I had this link I forgot to delete. Okay, so anyway, when I was trying to create the link, I saw this video of this lady going off in the church. She was going off and she was just letting them have it. And somebody, of course, recorded it. And so I just want to show you all this really quick.
I just want to park my car and sleep. I'm not bothering anybody by being here. I don't cause any trouble. All I do is park my car here and sleep. That's it. I don't know where else to go. So what do you think you're going to accomplish by this, ma'am? Because it's not going to make you look good. I suggest both of you open the Bible and see. Look what it says about homeless people and poor people and what you're supposed to do. Because it's not this. It's not this. And you know it. But I expect nothing from the church. I hope you're not turning that off. Record it all. Put it on Facebook. It's not going to make you look the way you think it is. It's not. You don't have to call the police. But you would. You would, because that's what kind of people you are in this church. I'm going to put this on the internet, and a lot of people are going to see it, and you're going to be really embarrassed.
It's a darn shame. That's a darn shame. That is a darn shame. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When I tell you the pain of it all, that doesn't hurt y'all's feelings. That's what the church is doing. That poor lady said all she wants to do is park her car and sleep. It's not like she's out there under a tent. She's out there trying to sleep in her car. She probably felt a church is a place that would be safe for her to sleep. Hey, I get it. They don't want strange people parking in their parking lot. But the lady is, you know, that's likely all she has to do. Why don't, instead of threatening to call the police, y'all offer her a helping hand, maybe? Oh my goodness, it is so sad that this is what the church has become. Now, of course, I'm not saying all churches, don't get it twisted, but this is how many churches are. Do you all remember when they had the flooding in Houston and Joel Osteen? Y'all remember? He didn't want those people coming in his church, worried they were going to dirty it up, as if he didn't have more than enough money to get it all clean and spick and span again. Y'all remember that? Some of these people who act as though they're supposed to be the biggest soldiers in God's own army are the main ones who don't want to put boots on the ground when it comes to doing work for their own people that are out here struggling. Do they not think that some of these people out here struggling are veterans too? People who fought for this country. This is all so crazy. And most people don't even care. Antoinette says, it's been a minute since I caught you live. Hey, Queen of Royals. Hey, beloved. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Oh, honey, they were going to call the police on the lady. Y'all hear that? Not, ma'am, let's have a talk. Maybe we can see if we can help you. Let's go get some of the deacons in here. Let's see if we can set up a counseling session for you with the pastor. Maybe the first lady can have a discussion about it. But no, call the police. Wow. This is very sad, honey. These are some treacherous times we're living in. I just thought I'd share that with you all, but let's move on, honey, because it's all real bad, except for people like Giuliani. Except for people like Giuliani and others who are part of Trump's minions and goon squad, because they're getting all sorts of favors from Trump that You see, right now, it has come to my attention that Trump has pardoned Giuliani and others who backed efforts to overturn his nefarious 2020 election loss. Let's get into it. President Donald Trump has pardoned his former personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, his one-time chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and others accused of backing the Republicans' efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The full, complete, and unconditional pardon for dozens of Trump's allies are largely symbolic. It applies only to federal crimes, and none of the people named in the proclamation were ever charged federally over the bid to subvert the election won by Democrat Joe Biden. It doesn't affect state charges, though state prosecutions stemming from the 2020 election have hit a dead end or are just limping along. Well, not just limping along. Do you all hear the theatrics? The move, however, underscores Trump's continued efforts to promote the idea that the 2020 election was stolen from him, even though courts around the country and Trump's own attorney general at the time found no evidence of fraud that could have affected the outcome. Reviews, recounts, and audits of the election in the battleground states where Trump contested his loss also affirmed Biden's victory. Trump's recent action follows the sweeping pardons of the hundreds of Trump supporters charged in the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol, including those convicted of attacking law enforcement. Now, Ed Martin, the Department of Justice's point man on pardons and a former lawyer for January 6 defendants, linked his announcement of the pardons to a post on X that read, "No MAGA left behind." These people are hilarious. Now, among those also pardoned were Sidney Powell, an attorney who promoted baseless conspiracy theories about stolen elections. These are the people that Trump's leaving out on the streets, okay? John Eastman, another lawyer who pushed a plan to keep Trump in power, and Jeffrey Clark, a former Justice Department official who championed Trump's efforts to challenge his election loss. Also named were Republicans who acted as fake electors for Trump and were charged in state cases accusing them of submitting false certificates that confirmed they were legitimate electors despite Biden's victory in those states. The proclamation explicitly says the pardon does not apply to the president himself, who has continued to repeat the lie that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Okay, use that falsehood to argue for sweeping changes in the way the country votes and demanded his Department of Justice investigate the vote count that led to his loss. As if he didn't lose fair and square. Okay, he is still at it. The pardon described efforts to prosecute the Trump allies as a grave national injustice perpetrated on the American people and said the pardons were designed to continue the process of national reconciliation. Giuliani and others have denied any wrongdoing, arguing they were simply challenging an election they believed was tainted by fraud. Let me tell you something. Trump doesn't want anybody going down for that, because then it'll be recorded in history permanently, a permanent stain on his nefarious legacy that already has a bunch of loopholes in it, no less. Okay? Of the dirt that has been alleged that he's done. Eduardo says, finally caught you live, Queen of Queens. Thank you, beloved. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay? So this is what it is. These devils are all squirming right now. They don't know what's coming next. So it goes on to say, now these great Americans were persecuted and put through hell by the Biden administration for challenging an election, which is the cornerstone of democracy. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said this in an emailed statement. I mean, the nerve of them, the ones that are the very threat to democracy, as we all know it, talking about somebody else. Okay? They say those pardoned were not prosecuted by the Biden administration, however. Okay, they were charged only by state prosecutors who operate separately from the Justice Department. Now, an Associated Press investigation after the 2020 election found 475 cases of potential voter fraud across the 6 battleground states, far too few to change the outcome. Okay, that's their story. And then they say Giuliani, the former mayor of New York City, was one of the most vocal supporters of Trump's unsubstantiated claims of large-scale voter fraud after the 2020 election. He's also an example of the limited impact of the pardons. Giuliani has been disbarred in Washington, D.C. and New York over his advocacy of Trump's bogus election claims. And see, this is why Lindsay Halligan is a fool. Okay, I want you all to pay attention. I've been telling you all that little Miss Lindsay Halligan's going to be in big trouble. Okay, when it comes to light, and it's coming because the judge has already requested every transcript from the grand jury. And I told you all that as soon as the judge sees the lies that I'm sure were told, allegedly, okay, and trumped up charges and allegations, in my opinion, and all alleged, Lindsay Halligan might lose her license to practice. I mean, she didn't sit back and watch what happened to Giuliani and how Trump didn't give a darn and just kept on marching to the beat of his very own drum, as per usual. But anyway, I digress. Giuliani has been disbarred in Washington, D.C. and New York over his advocacy of Trump's bogus election claims and lost $148 million, okay, for the defamation case brought by 2 former Georgia election workers whose lives were upended by conspiracy theories that he helped to push. Okay, now since pardons only absolve people from legal responsibility for federal crimes, they unlikely will ease any of Giuliani's other legal woes. Okay, because he's still out of all that cash. Terry Goodman, a spokesperson for Giuliani, said the former mayor never sought a pardon, but is deeply grateful for President Trump's decision, saying Mayor Rudy Giuliani stands by his work following the 2020 presidential election when he responded to the legitimate concerns of thousands of everyday Americans. That's what Goodman said in an email statement. Please sit down somewhere. Don't try to act like he was so concerned about Americans. He was up there licking Trump's boots, okay, because Trump was putting money in his pocket. That's what that was all about, in my opinion. Now, while the pardons may have no immediate legal impact, experts warned they send a dangerous message for future elections, saying it is a complete abdication, okay, so of the responsibility, okay, abdication of the responsibility of the federal government to ensure that we don't have future attempts to overturn elections. Now, this is what Rick Hansen, a UCLA law professor, said. He also went on to say that ultimately, the message it sends is, we'll take care of you when the time comes. Exactly. That's exactly what it says. Okay. But is Trump going to take care of them? Well, that's why he's out here issuing these pardons. Okay, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. All right, nothing more than the good old boys club that we already know. Okay, that we already know all about. So, but what are they going to do when the walls come crashing down on Trump? Because at the end of this, Trump needs to be going to prison. That's where he needs to be headed. So anyway, Trump himself was indicted on federal felony charges, accusing him of working to overturn his 2020 election defeat. But the case brought by Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith was abandoned in November after Trump's victory over Democrat Kamala Harris, of course, okay, because of the department's policy against prosecuting sitting presidents. That's why Trump was so desperate to win. Giuliani, Powell, Eastman, and Clark were alleged co-conspirators in the federal case brought against Trump, but were never charged with federal crimes. Now, Giuliani, Meadows, and others named in the proclamation had been charged by prosecutors in Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Nevada, and Wisconsin over the 2020 election, but the cases have repeatedly hit roadblocks or have either been dismissed. Okay, a judge in September, if you all remember, dismissed the Michigan case against 15 Republicans that were accused of attempting to falsify or to falsely certify Trump as the winner of the election in the battleground state. Now, Eastman, a former dean of Chapman University Law School in Southern California, was a close advisor to Trump in the wake of the 2020 election and wrote a memo laying out steps that Vice President Mike Pence could take to stop the counting of the electoral votes while presiding over Congress's joint session on January the 6th to try and keep Trump in office. I mean, they had all kind of tricks up their sleeves. Okay? Now, Clark, who is now overseeing a federal regulatory office, also is facing possible disbarment as well, okay, in Washington over his advocacy of Trump's claims. See how all these people are getting disbarred? Okay, Lindsey Halligan, you're going to be next. All right. Clark clashed with Justice Department superiors over a letter he drafted after the 2020 election that said the department was investigating various irregularities and had identified significant concerns that may have affected the election in Georgia and other states. Now, Clark said in a social media post on Monday that he did nothing wrong and shouldn't have had to battle this witch hunt for 4 years. Okay, y'all see that? Well, see, that's how it turns out. You see, they're out here doing all this dirt for Trump and at his behest, and now the chickens have come home to roost. Now the chickens have come home to roost, and I'm going to sit here with my popcorn and watch it all go down. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. How about y'all? I'm going to sit right there. And then they keep talking about Trump. You know, they really keep talking about Trump never leaving office and all of that. About Trump being the forever president and everything. And remember, when Bannon said that during that interview, let's go back to that real quick. And this is why they want Trump to never leave, because he's out here doing whatever these goons want him to do. And he's making a lot of money while doing so, in my opinion. Now, this is all alleged. I can't prove any of it. It's just my thoughts.
A third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious.
Oh my goodness.
But he's an instrument of divine will, and you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm really I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through, Zanny, and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
Would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
But Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why it seems to me some kind of tension there.
The only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people, okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
Okay, now you all heard that. He said they need Trump. They need Trump to stay in office, okay? He sounded desperate, did he not? He said they need Trump to stay in office for at least one more term. Now, wonder why they need him to stay in there so desperately. Don't y'all have questions? Because I sure did. And then he said this.
The midterms, and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not going to stop. They're getting more and more and more radical. And we have to counter that. And what do we have to counter it with? We have to counter it with more action, more intense action, more urgency. We're burning daylight. If you look across every aspect of this, we have to codify what President Trump has done by executive order, right? We have to codify it. If we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Okay, y'all heard what he said. He said if they lose somebody in that room, some in that room are going to prison, himself included. Okay? Yeah. That's what he said. And I want y'all to pay attention. This is why they're so desperate. And y'all know how Trump runs his mouth too much. Trump came out and admitted, okay, that we pay the tariffs. Now watch this. I told you their little nefarious plot was going to fall apart.
Justice Roberts said that tariffs are taxes, that they're paid by Americans. He said this pretty clearly. And yet you're saying that this money is rolling in from other countries. How do you square those two?
Well, it's coming in because they've charged us. You know, those same countries that you talk about are charging us massive amounts of money. If you look at the tariffs over the years that were put on our heads, there's a reason we're $38 trillion owed. Now that money's going to start coming down. But we had presidents that didn't know how to use tariffs. We had presidents that had no understanding of business. But if you take a look at what's happened to us, every country charges tariffs. China, the European Union was brutal. They charged us tariffs, not only tariffs, they charged us tariffs so we couldn't sell cars there. We couldn't sell our product. They didn't want our agriculture. They didn't want our cars. Now they're taking our cars, and now they're taking our agriculture. You know, far more than money. It really is a defensive mechanism. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be unable to defend ourselves.
So then do you agree then that Americans are paying those tariffs?
I think, no, I don't agree. I think that they might be paying something, but when you take the overall impact, the Americans are gaining tremendously.
Chief Justice Roberts.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to the word salad. He said, now, when you take the overall impact, what? Now, yeah, but when you take the overall impact, I think they're gaining successfully. Trump, please sit down somewhere, okay? I mean, it's the lies of it all. So basically, he's admitted that America's paying the tariffs. Okay, that's coming out of our pockets, just like I told you all back in January it would. But also, he basically admitted as well that the Republicans, he finally slipped up and admitted that the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. They've been trying to paint the narrative that it was the Democrats the whole time. Please listen.
Discussion after the press leaves about what last night represented and what we should do about it, and also about the shutdown, how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans, and that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor, but I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that. I thought we'd have a discussion after the press.
Okay, y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. He said it was negative for the Republicans, the shutdown. It was negative for the Republicans. Yeah, that was his way of admitting that the Republicans are the ones that are responsible for it. That's why it was negative for them, and they knew it would be. And that's why they kept trying to continuously paint the narrative that the Democrats were the reason for it, and that it was them that really didn't want people to have their SNAP benefits.
Agree then that Americans are paying those tariffs?
I think, no, I don't agree. I think that they might be paying something, but when you take the overall impact, the Americans are gaining tremendously. They're gaining through national security. Look, I'm ending war because of these tariffs. Americans would have to fight in some of these wars. They're gaining in national security. They're gaining in economics. They're gaining in so many different ways. And they're gaining in self-respect for our own country.
So then do you agree then that Americans are paying those tariffs?
I think.
Now, did y'all hear that? He said they're gaining in so many ways, and they're gaining in they're gaining in self-respect for their country. This is so crazy. Oh my goodness. D Major said Trump just threatened air traffic controllers. He just threatened BBC with $1 billion lawsuit now, and he wants NFL stadium named after him. Honey, what doesn't he want? Thank you for the insight into the topic, beloved. Okay, I appreciate you. And thank you for being a member for 2 months. I appreciate you. This man is something else. Do y'all hear this? Oh, this is all so hilarious. Now, those comments, okay, God forbid we don't win in 2028. Because this is what Bannon said back in, I think it was in March. Okay, he said something similar in his War Room podcast. Okay, he said something like, God forbid we don't win in 2028. President Trump's going to prison, just like Bolsonaro in Brazil. That's exactly what he said. Now, with Democrats seeing significant wins across the country on Tuesday, Bannon's comments may have his comments may signal heightened concern over conservatives about Republicans' electoral prospects and the potential legal consequences for high-profile figures. Okay, somebody going to jail. Now, Bannon also said Democrats will seek to remove Trump from office if they win the midterms in 2026. Now, while Trump's legal troubles have largely stalled since he won last year's presidential election, they remain unresolved. Now, his 2024 New York conviction on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records resulted in an unconditional charge or discharge, though he is appealing and seeking to move the case to federal court. Federal prosecutions over classified documents and election interference were dropped under the Department of Justice policy shielding that shields sitting presidents. And Georgia's election interference case is paused pending appeal. And Trump, of course, as per usual, has denied all wrongdoing. Y'all know he's always saying it's just a witch hunt. Now, Bannon's most recent remarks following a string of Democratic victories this week in a show of strength for the party ahead of 2026. Okay, in New York City, State Assembly member Zohran Mamdani became the first Muslim elected mayor in the city, and he defeated former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, the Trump-backed Democrat who ran as an independent in a race driven by record turnout among young voters. Okay, so we already know the rest. But basically, it looks like they may have some legit reasons to be concerned. Okay, they said still, Bannon believes there is more his party could do to secure a victory next year, especially amid the ongoing government shutdown, now the longest one in U.S. history. Shutdown has left federal workers without pay and millions of people without vital government assistance, such as their SNAP benefits. At the Conservative Partnership Institute event, Bannon urged Senate Republicans to follow Trump's lead and scrap the 60-vote rule that has stalled efforts to end the government shutdown. All right. So anyway, with that all being said, they're trolling him, Steve Bannon, that is. They're trolling him for those comments. Somebody says a Democratic strategist, Mike Nellis, says, if we lose, we're going to be held accountable for our crimes, is not the campaign slogan Steve Bannon thinks it is. Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? Okay. He said, if we lose, we're going to be held accountable for our crimes. It's not the campaign slogan Steve Bannon thinks it is. Okay, now that was hilarious. And then a British Muslim journalist named Mehdi Hassan reacted by joking that Bannon was promising everyone a good time. I am so done. Okay, I am so done. But anyway, with that all being said, let's continue because, they're talking about Nebraska is having money woes, financial woes out here. Have a whole news report on brokety broke. And you know why that's interesting? Because one would think, now I'm not saying it's a fact that it's written in stone, but what I am saying is that one would just think that most of the people in Nebraska are Trump supporters. I would think that most of the people in Nebraska are MAGA. And so to hear that they're having financial woes and on the verge of bankruptcy while Trump's in charge, yikes. That's all I can say. But let's go to this news report and then we'll see what some of the people have to say. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. And if you're from Nebraska or know someone that is, please feel free to share because we're all nosy as hell and we want to know what's all going down.
Trade wars to late season diseases, it's been a difficult season for the farmers.
Yeah, some have even compared this year to historic farm economy crashes in the past. So we wanted to see what's on their minds while they prepare to feed the world.
KETV Newswatch 7's Capitol Bureau Chief John Grunwald has the story you'll see only on KETV.
Would you take the view that this is a farming crisis that we're in right now?
I think we're in 1981 where it could be starting. We'll just have to see what next year brings.
The season of reaping, a race against the clock.
And I don't know why it's taken him so long to get off of the scale. You fill very fast, and then you end up at the pile, and you're just stuck here for an hour, and your combine shuts down. And where's my trucks at? Well, they're all stuck in line here at the pile.
To longtime farmer and state senator Tom Brandt.
You make it what you want to make it.
Even the dusty haze of harvest sunsets, not so much a vista to wonder at, but worry about.
You're thinking right now in the combine is, I've only got a half hour of sunlight left, and then I got to go to headlights.
Ask agricultural leaders like John Hansen of the Nebraska Farmers Union, and they'll tell you the brisk autumn breezes aren't the only headwinds battering the men and women who work the land.
In addition to high operating costs and low commodity prices, we're also losing our export markets. So we're losing export markets. We're in the middle of a farm crisis. We can't get Congress to pass the Farm Bill.
When I met with Brant 2 weeks ago, shifts in trade policy were high on his mind.
It doesn't make a lot of economic sense for the United States to be given $20 billion to Argentina so China can buy their soybeans and not buy ours.
Just days ago, President Donald Trump struck a trade truce with China, and it agreed to buy millions of metric tons of soybeans. But for many, it will still be a serious struggle to get anywhere close to breaking even.
I mean, it's tough. We were talking with our banker. He said if you didn't have your custom business, you would be in the negative for sure. And so it's been a way for us to keep afloat, especially when we have 4 of us working on the farm.
Matthew Erickson grew up on the farm.
Really, it's been 31 years for my whole life, probably. Yeah, riding around in combine.
He says if he were as young as he is now, but all on his own, without the support of his family, he likely wouldn't have the wealth to make it through another year.
It is disheartening sometimes when you're kind of making pennies on the dollar, and then the people that are selling your stuff are making money, and then the people that are buying your stuff are struggling just the same too.
The common refrain, diversifying and taking on more work, the only way to keep up with the ever-changing landscape.
You do more repair work on your own, you do whatever you can to save that. The difficult part is if you want to sit down and right now plan 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year plans and what you're going to do, what 3, 5, and 10 years looks like.
Brant will be back in the halls of the Capitol come January, where he's looking to take another crack at property tax burdens.
The biggest way that the state can help us is if the legislature drops the valuation of ag land from 75% to 50% or less. We have the power to do that.
But if there's appetite for that in a year of state fiscal woes, or room for a federal bailout in a time of partisan deadlock,
we'll just have to see what next year brings.
Reporting for KETV News Watch 7, I'm John Grunwald.
Okay, so with that all being said, as you all can hear, quite frankly, they're having financial issues. Okay, so now I'm going to go to what some of the people some of the people are saying about the issues and how some of these people actually voted for Trump. Now, you all might hear some noise in the background because I have some people here doing some work. Okay, I forgot they were coming. All right.
Excited for everyone to call me a bad person again in my comments, but guess what? I do not care about Nebraska going bankrupt in 6 months. I do not care. I do not care. Maybe a few other of those red states should go bankrupt in 6 months so the blue states can swoop in to save them, so they can understand that we are not the bad ones. We are not the poor ones. We are not the ones who cannot survive under the orange turds' crazy policies. But you know why I don't feel bad for Nebraska? You know why? Because I believe I heard 65% of their workforce is undocumented people, which means they're not coming to work anymore, which means work's not happening, which means all the farmers in Nebraska are going to go bankrupt because they all went out there and voted against their neighbors. 65% of neighbors who are immigrants, okay? Fuck around and find out at this point. You know what I mean? And of course, I do feel bad for those blue people in Nebraska who did not vote for this. So unfortunate. That's what you get for being racist and not wanting immigrants in this country, even though they're paying taxes and contributing. So next time you hear someone say they agree with Donald Trump rolling back, I'm so excited for everyone to call me a bad person again in my comments, but guess what? I do not care about Nebraska going bankrupt in 6 months. I do not care. I do not care. Maybe a few other
As in fact,
gone bankrupt. Due to his tariffs and the loss of all of our migrant farm workers, our state has lost over $500 million. It's so bad that Governor Pillen had to call and ask him for a bailout, and we don't know if he's going to give it to us. My husband and I did used to own a farm here in Nebraska, and thanks to the loss of all the workers, we went bankrupt, and bankruptcies in our state overall are at a record high right now. It's still just so weird to me because we all voted red. Nebraska, every county, every district overwhelmingly voted red. And that seems to have been the reason that we're all out of business now. And that just doesn't make that much sense to me. If you vote for a party, shouldn't they protect you? Shouldn't they pass policies that will help you stay out of bankruptcy? And it's not just the farms, but the whole state is going under because we voted red. When you're a farming family like mine, maybe y'all saw.
Yeah, she definitely sounded like Whitley Gilbert, you all. Maybe y'all saw the news out of Nebraska. Yeah, beloved, we sure did. Okay. Okay, but anyway, let's go on. We're almost done, and then we're gonna get to the commentary.
It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska, the governor, Jim Pillen, has asked the federal government for help because they're not going to be able to pay their bills this year. And here's the problem in Nebraska. They had over a $2 billion contract with the Chinese government to export soybeans to China. Well, out of that $2 billion, they've canceled all the contracts. So out of that $2 billion, $350 million was state revenue taxes. They're not getting any of that. And the governor also goes on to say that because the migrant farmers weren't able to work in Nebraska this summer, that those people didn't pay their taxes either. And the farmers who already have crops in the ground, folks, they've already spent their money. They're going to need help too because they're not getting any money from the contracts anymore. So Nebraska is the first state. It's Joe from Georgia. So we're getting ready for the first domino to fall, and we know what happens after the first one falls. Well, the state of Nebraska.
So MSNBC needs to preference the fact that these people voted for Trump. And then, because when they air their stories about the hard times that they're experiencing, it needs to be prefaced that that's who they voted for. This is a conscious choice that they made. Listen to this.
And having these problems sort of pile on top of each other between SNAP and the economic downturn.
It's just impossible for us to make ends meet anymore. We basically rob Peter to pay Paul is what we've been doing. So, like, if my car breaks down, we got a dilemma. Do we pay a bill or do we get a car fixed in order to get back to this work and stuff like that? So this really affects us really bad right now with the economy and everything the way it is. Trump needs to do something. He needs to get off his butt instead of sitting there worrying about foreign countries and worrying about what's going on over there. He needs to worry about what's going on in this country and take care of the people that need to be taken care of in this state, in this country right now.
All up and down this app, all up and down the news, all over the place, they're feeling the fuck around till they find out. Like it wasn't going to be coming. They got lied to, they got duped, they got gaslit, but they all voted for the hatred. It's hard to feel sorry for them, because I ain't gonna lie to you. Now, I don't want no people, I don't want anyone to starve, but you know what? You need to own up to the decision that you made. Open the government back up. If that's what they want, open the government back up. Let these policies hit them 110% in the pocket. This is what you voted for. Black women aren't going to save you this time. You want to put the face on black women taking advantage of the SNAP benefits program and EBT when it's actually you. It's actually you.
Guys, the Republicans are freaking out right now because they know that after they got obliterated at the polls this week, they now have to change all of their messaging back to the economy and affordability. They were hoping that they could just give tax cuts to their rich friends and then keep everybody distracted by sending the military into blue cities and going to war with Antifa frogmen. But it looks like nobody gave a shit about that. Looks like the real reason that Trump supporters voted for him is because they wanted a bunch of free shit. They wanted free IVF, no more taxes, lower prices at the store, not higher. And they wanted him to literally hand out $5,000 checks to everybody like Oprah. They were looking for the free shit. And when Republicans got in office, obviously they had no intentions of actually helping the American people. But now Republicans are being forced to talk about the economy that they ran straight into the ground. And they can't talk about the numbers because those look terrible. So their number one tactic is to trot out Lego Man Mike Johnson and Daddy Trump to tell everybody that prices are way down. Guys, our pro-growth policies will kick in soon. That's what they have to say. And that's because they're absolutely cooked. The Republicans have done nothing to help the American people, and even their own fans are starting to notice. Anyway, guys, gotta love it. Gotta love watching them squirm. If they thought that this week was bad for them at the polls, woo! Next year is going to be glorious. All right, guys, happy Thursday. Hopefully you're having a great week. I know I am having a damn good week. So let's keep that energy flowing. All right, y'all?
I live in Columbia, Missouri. I woke up watching news and finding out we are going to give Argentina a $20 billion bailout while we can't even have health care in this country. And we're falling apart. And our beautiful fucking orange wannabe God seems to think he needs a Nobel Peace Prize, which I don't understand because he's tearing our country apart. I'm really not crazy. I really never do this. I am 60 years old. And for the first time in my life, I am scared to death to live in this country. I want to take my family and leave. I can't afford passports, imagine. But anyway, please, if you agree with me, call your senators, protest, do whatever you can. But I don't understand why we are giving another country $20 billion when so many people are on the verge of losing health care, so many rural hospitals are on the verge of closing, when this ACA or whatever they want to call it, Obamacare ends, everybody's premiums are shooting up. Not just the poor people you think are on Obamacare, but everybody's, because the whole system's going to have to absorb this. The system's going to have to absorb people they can't afford it and have to go to the emergency room for treatment, and that's all they can get. So we're going to let our people just lay here and die because they can't get health care, but we're going to bail out other countries? I don't understand. Please, if you agree with me and you think something needs to be done, just call your senators and tell them, please. Thank you for listening to my whiny post.
You know, something really sad is happening in small town America right now. These are the same places that supported Trump and went all in for the MAGA movement. They believe he would fix the system, help the forgotten people, and bring pride back to their communities. But now, many of those same small towns are the ones suffering the most. Hospitals are closing, people are losing their Medicaid, and families are being left without basic health care. Let's talk about what's really going on right now, because everyone is literally freaking out. All across rural America, from Texas to Georgia to Kansas, Nebraska, hospitals are shutting down. They just can't afford to stay open anymore. For a lot of these small towns, that hospital was everything. It was the one place people could go with their kids, if their kids get sick, when someone had a heart attack or when there was an accident on the road. Now those buildings are empty, the lights are off, and people are being told to drive 50 miles or more just to see a doctor. Why? Because of cuts to Medicaid, the government program that helps low-income people pay for healthcare. See, many people in rural areas don't make a lot of money. They work on farms, in factories, or small stores. They depend on Medicaid when they get sick. But when the government reduces Medicaid funding, those hospitals lose money too because they don't get paid back for care they give. And when that happens, they go broke. Hi, guys.
Okay, so Angel was just a nervous wreck. Poor thing. Did y'all hear her? Okay, it was just all going bad. Now, I want you all to imagine if every time Black people went through something, that was the way we behaved. Just breaking down, crying, trying to rally everybody together, call the senators, call the mayor, call the governor. We really should be doing all of that stuff. But imagine if we did. You know, they'd be so sick of us. Okay. They'd be so sick of us. And maybe that's why we don't get anything done. Maybe that's why we don't get anything done and they do. Because look how they get so frantic. They start. Her place said, call the Pope. DJ Big Six said this shuffled. Right. I mean, that's probably what we should be doing. We should be in an uproar at the least little thing that happens. But see, you know why Black people don't get in an uproar for many things that occur is because we have become desensitized. Because we have become so used to seeing things go bad in our community, or just, so used to getting the short end of the stick, that when these things happen, we just think, oh, it's just another day, oh, this is nothing new. But we need to start raising hell equally as they do, getting just as upset and concerned as they do, and start calling for town hall meetings and start getting in an uproar and going to talk to people to hold people accountable instead of just complaining amongst ourselves. Now, that lady was ready to rally up the troops and start demanding answers. And that's what we need to be doing too. Okay, please pay attention. It's exactly what we need to be doing. Okay? And so, but now let's talk about how they say the shutdown should be over with soon. They say the shutdown should be over soon because the Senate has come up with a plan they're working on, trying to bring it all to an end so everybody can get their SNAP benefits and everything can go back to normal. The people can get their pay, and they say they're going to give the back pay as well. Of course they should. I mean, they said it like they're doing the people a favor, but of course they should give them their back pay. But so hopefully it's going to be coming to a close if everybody can come into agreement.
Well, it looks like we're getting very close on the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
I move to bring to a closed debate on the motion to proceed to calendar 168.
The question is it the sense of the Senate that debate on the motion to proceed to H.R. 5371, an act making continuing appropriations and extensions for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes, shall be brought to a close upon consideration?
Mr. Banks. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Bennett. Mrs. Blackburn. Ms. Cortez Masto, aye. Mrs. Shaheen, aye. Ms. Rosen.
Okay, now, so let's go now to what Mike Johnson said after all of that.
News conference on all of this. Let's listen in.
Now finally appear ready to do what Republicans and President Trump and millions of hardworking American people have been asking them to do for weeks. But as we said from the beginning, the people's government cannot be held hostage to further anyone's political agenda. That was never right. And shutting down the government never produces anything. It never has, if you study history. And so here we are. I want to remind everybody this morning of another critical point that you've heard me here repeat over and over the last several weeks. It's something that I and Leader John Thune and President Trump and every Republican leader have all said repeatedly from the beginning. We have always been open to finding solutions to reduce the oppressive costs of health care under the Unaffordable Care Act. We just made clear that we would not and should not ever do that, that is, negotiate as hostages. And I've also reminded you here every morning at this press conference throughout the shutdown, Republicans have not just been talking about reducing costs and fraud and abuse in so many areas and in healthcare. We've been actually passing new laws to accomplish that urgent mission for the people, and we will continue to do so. So here's where we are by way of schedule, just so you know, you're following. And if you're not at home, if you're waking up to this good news this morning, the Senate's vote late last night of 60 to 40 opens the door now. The Senate is moving forward on an amended House CR, a continuing resolution, that will reopen the government until January 30th. Added to that are provisions to fully fund SNAP provisions through the end of the next fiscal year, which is September 2026, guaranteed back pay for all federal workers who have been made to endure these hardships over the last several weeks. And it also includes passage of 3 appropriations bills, which we're grateful to be moving through the process. That is the Military Construction Veterans Affairs bill, it's the Agriculture bill, and the Legislative Branch bill. The Senate will be back in session this morning to finish their job, and we're certainly praying that they do. They'll need unanimous consent from all senators to fast-track their final vote. As you know, there's some procedural hurdles that one or more could throw in the way, but we certainly hope that they won't do that because so many people across this country are desperate for the government to reopen. At the very moment that they do that final vote, I will call all House members to return to Washington as quickly as possible. We'll give a 36-hour formal and official notice so that we can vote as soon as possible to pass the amended CR bill and get it to the president's desk. As you all know, and he said as recently as last night, I was with him, and he told the press, he said, we want to get the government open. He's very anxious to get the government reopened and to end the Schumer shutdown. We all are. With regard to the travel challenges, I spoke yesterday at some length with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, my former colleague and good friend, and he lamented the serious situation that we have with air travel in the U.S. He's bent over backwards, as all members of the administration and the cabinet have done in all of their areas of jurisdiction, to try to keep the government working for the people and to mitigate the pain and the harm. But the problem we have with air travel is that our air traffic controllers are overworked and unpaid, and many of them have called in sick. It's a very stressful job and even more stressful exponentially when they're having trouble providing for their families. And so air travel has been grinding to a halt in many places. And as of Sunday, nearly half of all domestic flights, U.S. flights, were either canceled or delayed. And it's a very serious situation. So I'm saying that by way of reminder. I'm stating the obvious to all my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats in the House. You need to begin right now returning to the Hill. We have to do this as quickly as possible. Now, we look forward to the government reopening this week so Congress can get back to our regular legislative session. We have a lot of business to do, as you all know, and we will be working in earnest. There'll be long days and long nights here for the foreseeable future to make up for all this lost time that was imposed upon us. I want to close with something that's important. I think it's important to say that this is genuine. I mean this sincerely. We applaud the 7 Senate Democrats and 1 independent senator who did the right thing. They decided to put principle over their personal politics. And my urgent plea of all my colleagues in the House, and that means every Democrat in the House, is to think carefully, pray, and finally do the right thing and help us to bring an end to the pain of the American people. This has gone on too long. Too many people have suffered, and it's long overdue. That's the update I wanted to give you this morning. There are probably lots of questions, but I'm going to get a lot of my own questions answered later today, so stay tuned for more. Thanks so much.
Okay, so is anyone buying it? Is anyone buying it? Because I'm not. Okay, I absolutely am not. And by the way, just so you all know, Trump is out here. Trump is on the loose. Okay, he's out here talking about suing. The BBC is facing potential legal action from Trump. Okay, he's threatening a $1 billion lawsuit over the January 6th speech edit. Do you all hear this? The memo written by former BBC advisor Michael Prescott pointed to the way the Panorama documentary had stitched together separate sections of Trump's speech. The result gave the appearance that Trump had encouraged the Capitol Hill riots. On Sunday evening, BBC Director General Tim Davie and CEO of News Deborah Turnus handed in their resignations. BBC Chair Samir Shah later acknowledged an error of judgment with the edit. For the White House, though more needs to be done, lawyers for Trump have demanded 3 actions: a retraction of the documentary, an apology, and of course, compensation. Do you all see how Trump is just getting so wealthy his whole tenure as president? And this is just the beginning. If the broadcaster does not comply, lawyers will proceed with legal action seeking a sum of $1 billion in damages. Now, the issue is still developing as we've yet to see the BBC comment on the legal threat. Tim Davie, the outgoing Director General, will also hold an all-staff call tomorrow. Wow. Wow. Do you all hear this? When I tell you, if anybody knows how to grift, surely Trump does. If anybody knows how to grift, surely he does. Amy said, suing everyone to fill his damn pockets. Exactly. Woo, this is all crazy, honey, okay? D Major said, this is insane. No, Trump is insane. All I can say is, what'll he think of next, folks? Okay, what'll he think of next? Because Trump is, he does not care about what is going on with anybody else at all. Not at all. $1 billion. And these people get so scared. They pretty much act like they'll do whatever Trump demands. He's got them all in check. So they have updates continuously coming in about the shutdown. The Senate is working to finalize the legislative package that would end the government shutdown following a key vote late Sunday that saw 8 Democrats cross the aisle to embrace a deal. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told reporters he hoped to hold a final vote on the package in the very near future, possibly as early as Monday. The chamber still needs to overcome several procedural hurdles. Well, question is, how many people got their benefits today? Remember, some people said they woke up with theirs on yesterday and the day before. Some people are still complaining and still very angry that they haven't heard anything and they feel like they're just in limbo.
Vote for Trump if I knew then what I know now.
I'm going to guess that the answer is yes, but it's not for the reasons that you and I would hope it's for. But let's watch and see what she says.
I would not vote for Trump again if I had the choice to go back 1 year ago today. And not because I'm disappointed with a lot of the policy or the way things are going, but the cost of that vote and the loss of 2 people that I love dearly.
So just to be clear, she's not upset because of the policies and the things that are happening. She's not upset that food is actually more expensive, that people are not getting their SNAP benefits, that government is shut down, that people are literally starting to starve and being grabbed off the streets. She's not upset about any of those things, right? Because those things don't affect her directly. But let's find out what she really is upset about.
And now the strain is just unbearable. And I had hoped after a year that things would kind of smooth over and calm down, but it's just not getting better. And the pain of it is a lot. So I know some people will say, well, that's what you get for voting for Trump and blah, 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 blah. But I'm heartbroken over the relationship loss. And so if I...
And there it is. She only cares because she was affected in a negative way. Because her friends, two people that were really close to her, said, I can't be friends with you anymore. And that makes total sense because no, we do not want to be friends with you. We cannot agree to disagree on human rights. We cannot be friends if you literally vote against my personal freedom, or you vote for someone who's going to physically, mentally, or emotionally harm me or someone I love. We cannot be friends if you support an administration that calls a huge part of our population an infestation or the enemy within. Because when you do that, you create legislation that harms those people that you say you love. But yet, I looked at your whole video, I watched your whole video. You do not care that it's affecting them. You only care that it affects you. And that's the problem with Trump supporters. All my love.
And see, that's exactly what I have been telling you all. That's exactly what I've been telling you all from day one. The same thing. Of course, we all know it. You didn't need me to tell you, but because that's obvious, right? These people are sitting up here whining and crying now and talking about let's all join forces and have a purple revolution. Never mind that we didn't care about your best interests. We didn't care what was going to happen to you. Didn't have a problem with ICE snatching people up and just throwing them into vehicles and just whisking them away. People complaining about being harassed who were law-abiding citizens being held and accosted as though they were criminals as the National Guards are patrolling the streets. Okay, supposedly looking for criminals but harassing the wrong folk. No, now they're all upset and they want to sit here and whine and cry because they're now victims of the same things they voted for, okay, for other people to endure. Some of these voters just felt like Trump made all these specific promises like the economy, the trade, immigration, and, government reform and all these things. The only thing he's keeping up his end of the bargain with that they were hoping for is the immigration policies, but even that's not great for them, for some of them. Because some of these people getting snatched up are here legally and are citizens. And some of them just are from different ethnic backgrounds, like many of those Cubans who have usually had, it pretty easy, had privilege when it came to people being deported. They had nothing to worry about, but now they see that even they can get it. Now they see that anybody can get it. So now everybody's looking around at each other, looking all crazy. Yeah, because they see that Trump's not keeping those promises. I don't know why they thought he ever would. The Epstein files, where are those at? Okay? Even if national economic indicators look strong, many individuals or communities, for many of them at least, the gains that they were expecting, hoping, waiting, and wishing for just didn't come through. It didn't materialize. Okay? I mean, some people were, have experienced wage stagnation, job displacement, higher costs. Okay, now they're left feeling hopeless. And that's the one thing about it. That's one thing that people can grift. Okay, that's one of the best things that a person can grift and it doesn't cost them anything. They don't have to put anything together. They don't have to go and get anything drawn up. They don't have to send out any emails. Hope. That's all they have to do is give people hope. That'll be the grift that just keeps on grifting. Okay? And here's the thing. There's one person, at least, a Trump supporter, who says that he's about to be homeless at 70 years old, all because of Trump's policies. 70 years old, about to be out on the streets, thanks to Trump. You all hold on 1 minute, beloveds.
Lights shining down in the moonlight, but I can't help but feel this connection flow with every move. Too long floor where you smile makes me want more. Heartbeat and sing at the sound of soul. Tonight we dance, just lose control. I can't resist the way you move. It's real bliss. Your eyes gazing on like the stars above. This night is ours, wrapped in our love. The band is playing our melody sweet. Can't help but feel the rhythm in my feet. Even like that, like the earth is spinning. Our love's a dance where we both live. You felt that groove.
All right. Sorry, folks. Sorry about that. I told you all I had some people here doing some work, and one of them forgot something, so they came back looking for it. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, yeah, so now some of these people, a lot of them are having buyer's remorse, or as someone just put in the chat, voter's remorse, because Trump didn't do what they thought he was going to do, or he did what they thought he was going to do, but he just did it to them, which they were not expecting. Because to be honest, Trump was very transparent. Okay. He did much of what he said. Some of the things he promised he was going to do, he absolutely is doing it right now. But some of those people just didn't think it was going to negatively affect them. And so now they're upset. But also, he's not doing some of the things he promised, like giving up the ingredients for that Epstein list. Okay. And so for some of the voters over time, the style of leadership, communications, and the actions from Trump's administrations have given them reason to doubt, to not feel that he's trustworthy, which I don't know how they ever thought he was in the first place with all the lies that we've seen him tell and heard him tell, and that he's been flat out caught in. I mean, stupid lies that even a 3-year-old would know don't make sense. And so I don't see how they would have any, hopes or thoughts or dreams that he was going to be honest. Okay? But anyway, let's talk about this supporter, poor thing, who may be homeless at the age of 70 thanks to Trump's foolishness.
Declared his support for Trump in 2024, saying that Biden is a tyrant and that we need to take our country back. But now, at the age of 70, he's on the verge of going homeless because of Trump's policies. Take a look at this. In 2024, he says, "We the people are getting screwed by this corrupt, tyrannical Democratic administration. It's time to vote for Trump to take our government back." Maybe you should watch one of his full rallies on Rumble. Then you would know his plans. You have nothing but lies, like Biden. Biden promised an increase for Social Security. We got nothing. I'm voting for Trump. See ya. But now he says, "President Trump, I voted for you. Do you realize that 1 pound of ground beef costs more than the average federal wage? Now this government has canceled SNAP benefits and Section 8 for people that depend on these benefits. Happy Thanksgiving. Not. Everything is way overpriced. I voted for you to make this country great. Instead, we can't afford to live a normal life anymore. Either fix this problem or face a revolutionary war, or we overthrow this government. We're sick of losing our rights and going broke from this government greed and corruption. I'm right with you, buddy. I voted for Trump, but he's not helping us that need it the most. I will be homeless soon at 70 years old. Very interesting. It's almost like the billionaires don't actually care about the American people whatsoever. How surprising. This is what happens when people vote against their own self-interest. Republicans have been doing this for decades. They've been convinced that slogans and fear-mongering will somehow lead to economic success, but as we're seeing, that is not the case. This man is now realizing the very same policies he was cheering for have now put him on the verge of going homeless. This man proudly declared his support for Trump in 2024, saying that Biden is a tyrant and that
Now, isn't that something? Isn't that something? That is so sad for them. And at the end of the day, it'd be the main people talking about patriotism, taking back their country. I'm sorry, how's this their country again? Okay. Raising all kinds of hell. But this is what they asked for. You remember that old saying that your grandparents taught you? When you dig one ditch, you better dig two, because the first one you dug just might be for you. Okay, please pay attention. Still applies. DJ Big Six said, so the 70-year-old didn't pay the home off? Obviously not, DJ Big Six. And here's the thing. I know that most mortgages are 30-year mortgages. Maybe they bought their mortgage or got their mortgage late, beloved, okay? Maybe they purchased their home late. Who knows what happened? But no, it's clearly not paid off. Unfortunately. But see, that's the thing. Trump is nothing more than a snake oil salesman. He sells people pipe dreams. Okay? He sells people hopes and dreams. And he just comes out and tells all these lies and then comes right back and slips up and pretty much confesses to it all. That's why Steve Bannon sat up there and said if they don't win during the midterms, him, her, him, and them are going to jail. Okay, that's why he said they're going to prison. Why do you think he's concerned about going to prison? That man probably knows what all kind of shady shenanigans, illegal activities, any embezzlement, money laundering, fraudulent activities. Okay? Any of the above, and then no telling what else. All right? They need Trump to stay there as long as possible until they can clean it all up, in my opinion, so they can hide all the evidence. Okay? Sitting here talking about going to prison, and we still have not forgotten about the Epstein files. So I definitely have questions about that. You know, and here's the thing too. And when you really think about it, what if this whole government shutdown was in fact a distraction? Because I find it so interesting that Trump just keeps throwing everything into the fire. Are y'all thinking about this? How does all this crazy stuff just keep happening? You know, and Trump's only been in office for 11 months. It hasn't even been a year yet. And all these crazy things just keep happening. What if the shutdown was just another distraction to make us turn our heads to the left because he's hiding the evidence of the Epstein list on the right? Soon as we get through one hurdle, then here comes another one that pops up. Soon as we crawl down one rabbit hole, then another one appears. Anytime we bring up Epstein list and files, something else happens over here. And we all turn our heads. Are y'all paying attention? D Major said, who's worse, Trump, Bush, or Cheney? I'm going to say Trump's the worst one. Trump still has my vote for being the worst, beloved. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. But at the end of the day, that's right. Smoke and mirrors. Okay? They're playing political games, okay? That's what they're doing. They're playing political mind tricks. Mm. That's what they're doing. They're playing political mind tricks, honey. At the end of the day. And you know what's so funny? It's probably both of them in on it, the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay? And then how do they figure out who's going to start the shenanigans the next day? Is they toss a coin. Tag, you're it. So then the Democrats start some BS. Or then the Republicans started. That's all it is. Mel said Trump is worse than Richard Nixon. Yes, absolutely, in my opinion. The worst in history, as far as I'm concerned. DJ Big Six said yes, both are in on it. I absolutely agree. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Okay, Kelly said, I agree, Queen. They're both in on it. Okay, I've been telling you all because that's exactly why we never, we never see these Democrats actually putting in work to get Trump out of there. We just hear them complaining and talking trash. Okay, that's right. Natural Way said weapons of mass distraction. I love it. Okay, but listen, before we go, I want you all to see this video this guy did, and he was talking about how white men have privilege. And he said he thought about this while he was attending a Cat Williams concert. Okay, so let's check this out and then we'll be out of here. We'll just keep our fingers crossed that everything turns out for the best. Everybody needs to be prayed up, hoping that the hungry are fed and that the people that need their SNAP benefits get them, and that pretty soon the prices of groceries goes down. Some things are not really that expensive, but groceries are. Okay, like I was telling you all the other day, the cost of these huge TVs has gone down drastically, in my opinion, but food costs have gone up. Like, that's real interesting. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it.
Saw Cat Williams tonight, and this isn't about the show. I want to talk with other white people about something that happened right before the show. So me and my buddy that went, we stood at, we got there really early. We were in front of the line, waiting to get in, and this white couple that got on the elevator in the parking garage the same time that we did. They, I guess, ended up going to do something and then came back and walked up to us and were like, oh, hey, friends, how's it going? You know, trying to weasel their way into cutting in front of everyone else. Mind you, the line was very long at this point of many non-white people. And so dude was like, hey, can we? And I was like, fuck no, dude. Get out of here. And he's like, oh, okay, motherfucker. And then walked, to the back of the line. The reason I bring that up is that white people are so fucking entitled, right? Even just little things. This sounds stupid, but it's little things like that, especially right now, where white people think they can do whatever the fuck they want. And subconsciously, it's because, white people are always entitled, but especially right now in a space in society where we are in open, overt, violent white supremacy, white men specifically think they can do and get away with whatever the fuck they want. And again, I'm telling this to other fellow white people, just to say, don't let each other get away with stupid shit. Even super small, simple things like this. It's not the time for that. It never is, but especially right now. So I went and saw Cat Williams tonight, and this isn't about the show. I want to talk with.
Okay, so y'all heard that. Excuse me, y'all heard that the man said he's talking about entitlement. Entitlement. Now, what's another word for entitlement, boys and girls? I'm so glad you asked. It's called privilege. Okay, it's called privilege. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. Because didn't Marlon tell us when he was on here that there was no such a thing as white privilege. So there's no entitlements. There's no white folk that ever feel entitled. There are no times ever that they're given entitlement. Of course there is. Of course there is. And some of them will even come out and say that. And you see, this is why when you see Black looking people such as Marlon, this is why when you see and hear people who look like him saying such foolishness, when the very own white folk themselves will admit to the truth, what does that tell you? Well, that just tells you that they have the mindset, the same exact mindset, that is, of Stephen from Django. The same mindset as Stephen from Django. That's what that should tell you. Because that's the kind of Black-looking person that will admit to something that even white people will tell the truth about. Okay? Now, that's sad. And that's just real sad. All right, so anyway, with that all being said, I'm out of here. Listen, I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. I apologize for all of the inconveniences. I am so glad and grateful to those of you who still, tuned in even after all that you had to go through. All right, I appreciate your patience. Okay, so hopefully by the next broadcast, I'm not going to go live again today because I'm just going to be trying to make sure everything's working good for tomorrow. Hopefully it will be. And but I really want to thank you all for toughing it out and tuning in with the Queen, honey, even though they try to hold me back. All right, so with that all been said, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got